taking off the two 10mm bolts on the underside of the front bumper cover that attaches it to the frame. Not even touching this side right now. Loosening the 10mm bolts on the top of the headlight assembly. There's two of them. Don't have to remove them yet. Two flathead, or yeah, I guess flathead Phillips screws on the grill. Two ribbed fasteners. Well, you got that thing out. Go ahead and remove these guys on the side, if they're there. And in the wheel well. This part is not necessary, but it makes it 10 times easier. There's always now this should be able to peel. So as long as you get that away from that, and that away from that, you should be able to peel this way out and then straight down. Just like that. That's about as far as you really need to go. Now there's a few more 10 mils attached to the headlight assemblies. And for at least two of them, you need an extension. And there's one over here on the side. Don't really need an extension, but it makes it easier. So there's two right here. The upper one is attached to this carbon plastic frame that the headlight assembly is attached to. So I'm only taking off the top one. And then there's one here that is attached to the same carbon plastic assembly. So now I should be able to pull this. Oh, finish taking out those screws. I should be able to pull this forward. Yep. And if not for the plug here, I'd be able to take it all the way out. The thing I wanted to test today. This is the low beam, the LED strip, and the halos on this stopped working. I'm going to plug that guy in over there if it lets me. I don't know if the plugs are identical. In case you never knew, that's why there's a knurl here, so that when it gets loose enough to use with your fingers, you can go faster. See if I can plug this in over here. I'll find that in a minute. Plugs may not be identical. It worked. That doesn't always mean it works. So the idea is, if everything on this light assembly ends up working, then the problem is with my other light assembly, not the wiring. Lights. This LED strip and these halos should have come on. Low beam. Low beam is working. And high beam is working. Double check and make sure those halos aren't actually on. No, they're not. Alright. So this wiring won't let the halos and the LEDs work. Whatevs. At least I can fix the low beam on the other side. Another test is to take that guy, put it over there, see if the LED strips and the halos work. Just to confirm. Interesting thing is, while trying to troubleshoot it over there, I changed the wiring a little bit, so it still may not work over here. Let's find out. Parking lights. Yep, LED strip works. Halos aren't, but that's a different story. That's because I changed the wiring. Low beam. Nothing. High beam. Yep, okay, so it's the low beam bulb. So since that one definitely works completely, I'll just go ahead and put that back. And then I'll just fuck around with this one. Although one more issue I've been having is the low beam on this seems like it's pointing straight down. So before I put it back in, let's find out why. Nothing is movable here. Indeed. There's no reason this shouldn't work. Well, I'll see that one. These are the best. Figure about $50 a pair. The more expensive ones, the Xenon, they're only more expensive because they try to look like halogen, or the other one. Brain. And on this car, the H1 bulb is used for both the low beam and the high beam. So in a pinch, if your low beam goes out and you know it's just the bulb, because you know your high beam is still working, you can just put the high beam bulb where the low beam bulb is supposed to go. Okay, that's being a dick. Stop being a dick. There we go. That's done. Back up the thread before I start it, especially on these self-tapping screws. I don't want to strip, or cross-thread rather, the plastic threads. It would still work, it just wouldn't necessarily be as tight or as secure, or if you keep doing it, it's not going to work anymore. Because it's plastic on plastic with a seal, you just need should be working perfectly inward from the bulb. So when putting this back in, if you've got extra wiring on it like these aftermarket ones do, just be mindful not to pinch that wiring. You've got to seat this and its home over there, and seat that right there. And because of how many different bolts are involved, just finger tighten them before you tighten them. Just make sure they're all housed correctly. Just enough to make sure that they can all reach their destination. And then you can adjust from there. All right, so that one fell down there earlier. I'll grab that. Do that now. And now for tight. Interesting. So that one felt like it just went all the way around. Where did it end up? Oh, there it is. Magnet. Yeah, the bolt looks fine. I guess I just didn't have it lined up right or deep enough. That is odd. It's acting like it's not grabbing anything. Well, sadly, this one's not even required at this point. Whatever. All right, back to this other one. Also replacing the low beam. I'm doing this in the grass for the sake of the headlight assembly lens. It's not a good idea if you drop a screw. Okay, that bulb is definitely fucking hurt. Fuck that guy. name of the bulb I was trying to think of earlier when I actually used halogen. These are halogen. Is HID. And the exact bulb in the Sylvanian lineup that is one step cost-wise above the Silver Star Ultra in orange packaging is the ZXE, I think it is. It's xenon. It's supposed to look like you have HIDs. It still uses the original wiring as your halogens. And to be honest, you can't see shit. It looks amazing in photos, and it blinds people. They think that maybe you have your high beams on, but you can't see shit. No, it's just for looks. Please don't buy it. Unless you have a show car that you never drive at night, don't buy it. The light was incredibly white, but it did not project, it did not pierce. And in fog, it was just deadly. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just unplug this shit until that gets all sorted out. The LED bar, I mean. Alright, so be mindful of any wiring on aftermarket shit. Back. Oh yeah, hi. If you find yourself with one bolt longer than the others, use it there. If you find yourself with a shitty looking bolt, hide it. There, over here. Whenever tightening plastic on something, just snug is good enough. Unless it's metal on metal, don't tighten as hard as you can tighten it. Looks like they're about to back out of their driveway. That's good. That's good. Let's test it before we put the bumper back on. Yep, I got low beams. And that one still looks like it's pointing down. So stupid. Alright, so now I'm lifting the bumper back up, or the bumper cover. Lift out and up, and as soon as you clear that bumper filler, support, the styrofoam looking thing, that's when you can rest it there. Put this in place. and then make it work. So start with these plastic guys here. Line up the hole. Then the screws, Phillips head. For these two screws, I recommend tightening pretty snug because they're holding both the grill and the top of the bumper cover into place. Whew. Wow. Now for the plastic inserts on the side. These guys, these two-piece. And for the two 10mm bolts underneath. And we're done. Let me prove it. Low beam, high beam, hazard turn signal, high beam, low beam. Hopefully this helps.